It's never easy being a young player trying to break onto a new team with the hopes of impressing the coaching staff for the chance that you might one day be called upon. Time and time again, we've all seen young prospects given that opportunity early in their careers, and when push came to shove and they were in the spotlight, many of them simply failed. Whether we chalk that up to nerves, inexperience, or just bad coaching, sometimes the prudent decision is to slowly integrate a youngster onto a team. Case in point, I think Patrick Mahomes' recent ascension was largely attributed to the fact that he sat behind Alex Smith in his rookie campaign and developed his game. Heck, this was a guy who couldn't even read NFL defenses until midway through his second season, but allowing him to play second fiddle behind Smith gave Mahomes an opportunity to ease his transition from college to the pros. And that's not to say that's the correct path for any young QB, as there are some who've had no trouble at all being thrown into the lion's den straight away. But for Aaron Rodgers with the Green Bay Packers, some critics argue this was a right decision. However, no one ever expected Aaron to be waiting 3 full seasons playing backup to Packers legend Brett Favre before finally being handed the keys to Lambeau Field. This was surely a difficult period for Aaron, who probably had a huge chip on his shoulders after sliding down the NFL draft in 2005. And while he would make a few cameo appearances, mostly in garbage time when the game was out of reach, but in 2007, Aaron finally caught a huge break as Favre went down early in the second quarter with an injury. And this wasn't just any game, but a nationally televised Thursday night football game against America's team with millions and millions of fans tuning in.
Billy Martin, straight from Brooklyn, better known as Brooklyn. Never taking shorts cause Brooklyn's the borough.
The 10-1 Packers traveled to Texas Stadium riding a 6-game winning streak and had a stranglehold of the NFC North. After 2 consecutive nightmare seasons, Favre began playing at an MVP caliber level as he recorded 22 touchdown passes to 8 interceptions and led the Packers offense with the best third down conversion rate in the league. This was a young Packers team that had missed the playoffs 2 straight seasons, so there was a lot of optimism surrounding them as they boasted the number 4th ranked scoring offense and the number 7th ranked scoring defense. In receiving, they had a talented group with the likes of Donald Driver, Greg Jennings, and James Jones, while in the backfield, running back Ryan Grant, since being inserted into the starting lineup in Week 8, had been the leading rusher in the league. And finally on defense, they had the 2 toughest corners in Al Harris and Charles Woodson, but the latter was forced to sit out due to injury. For the 10-1 Cowboys, they were also flying high as they held a 3-game lead over the Giants in the NFC East. Tony Romo was in his second season in Dallas and had thrown for 29 touchdowns to 13 interceptions with a passer rating of 105.3. Terrell Owens was enjoying an all-pro season with over 1,000 yards and 13 touchdowns, and tight end Jason Witten was having the best season of his career. The Cowboys had the second best offense, trailing only behind the historic 07 Patriots team, while defensively they ranked 13th in the league. On defense, they were led by DeMarcus Ware and Greg Ellis, who combined for 17.5 sacks in the first 11 games of this season, while the secondary has had some issues and struggled at times. That being said, this game had all the makings for an instant classic, as the 2 quarterbacks in any other year would have made a case for league MVP honors if it weren't for one Tom Brady. Dallas were favored by an incredible 7 points by game time as they edged the Packers in almost every statistical category aside from pass defense, where they ranked 21st in the league. With both teams leading the way in the NFC, a loss for Dallas could put them in line for a playoff game at frigid Lambeau Field in January. So both teams took to the field, knowing a win would put them atop of the NFC and possibly give them a home field advantage throughout the playoffs. Guys, before we continue, do me a favor and smash that like button and turn on all notifications, as it really helps promote the video across the platform. The game kicked off with the Packers receiving the ball as Favre led his team out on the field. On the very first play, Brett connected with Ruvel Martin for 13 yards for the first down before throwing a perfect pass right into the hands of Donald Driver, who wasn't able to come down with the ball. The Packers settled for 3 with a Mason Crosby field goal and took the early lead. The home team answered back immediately with a field goal of their own after Tony Romo completed a short screen pass to Julius Jones, who carried the ball for 21 yards deep into Green Bay territory. After the Packers went 3-0, the home team took the lead after Nick Folk connected on a 51-yard field goal for his second of the game, giving Dallas a 6-3 lead. Later in the first quarter, the Cowboys defense came up big on the Packers' very next drive as they forced Brett into an interception. On 1st and 10 from their own 24, Favre attempted to go downfield but appeared to be hit, which caused his throw to be well short of his intended receiver and fell straight into the hands of Ken Hamlin, who returned the ball for 18 yards. This turnover proved to be very costly, as on the Cowboys' next drive, Romo connected with Terrell Owens down the middle for 34 yards, which set up a Patrick Creighton 3-yard touchdown catch, giving the home team a 10-point lead. At this point early in the game, it appeared we were going to see a lot of fireworks. Favre, having already tried to go deep on a few occasions, seemed to be targeting Dallas' safeties, even though the defense was giving him a lot of stuff underneath. On top of that, the Packers' offensive line appeared to be having a little trouble containing Dallas' D-line, as Favre was taking a lot of late hits. Anyways, on the Packers' very next drive, the offense continued to struggle to get going after Brett overthrew Donald Driver by the sidelines and a draw from James Jones down the middle. However, on 3rd and 1 from their 38, running back Ryan Grant came up big as after getting a lead block from John Kuhn, found an opening in the middle and took the ball in for a score. At the start of the second quarter, Dallas answered back with Romo hitting T.O. down the right for 48 yards before connecting with Anthony Fasano for 26 yards in the end zone to extend the lead back to 10. The Cowboys had now opened the game, scoring on their first 4 possessions, and were looking the most dominant of the two teams. The secondary did not give anything to Favre downfield, and the D-line really made the QB uncomfortable in the pocket up until this point. So early in the second quarter, the away team really needed to come out with points on the drive. And after a couple runs from Ryan Grant, Brett continued to look deep, even into double coverage, and almost turned the ball over again had Pat Watkins hung on to the football. The quarterback's impatience to look for the big home run while having open receivers underneath began to hinder the offense. At this point in the game, he had only completed 4 of 11 attempts for 37 yards and a pick. And then on a couple plays later from 2nd and 12, Brett Favre's dreadful afternoon would come to a close as he threw his second interception of the game. During his release, the quarterback was hit in the arm by Nathan Jones, and as he got up, you could tell he was in serious pain, clutching his right wrist. And just when you thought things couldn't get any worse for the Packers, on the very next play, Romo looked deep for Miles Austin, who drew a pass interference call from Jarrett Bush, which makes you wonder how much the Packers D were missing Charles Woodson at safety. This was a huge 40-yard penalty that put the offense at the goal line, and from there, Tony connected with Terrell Owens for 10 yards for his first score of the game and his 14th of the season. And this is where the receiver's infamous popcorn celebration came to life, as upon scoring, T.O. ran to grab a fan's popcorn, throwing it all over himself. With the score now 27-10 for the home team, the Packers coaching staff sent out Aaron Rodgers onto the field. Up until this point, Rodgers had only completed 17 of 33 passes for 128 yards, along with 0 touchdowns and 1 interception. Basically, he had done nothing to accelerate succession talks in Green Bay. He had not given management a reason to push Favre out the door, but here he had a chance, albeit down by 17, to make an imprint on the offense. On his first drive, Aaron completed 1 of 4 passes and ran the ball for 8 yards for a first down before eventually stalling and the offense having to punt the ball back to Dallas. However, the youngster would get the ball again right before the half, and it's here on this drive where he gave the coaching staff a showcase of his talents. On 2nd down, Rodgers hit Greg Jennings by the sidelines, and the receiver made a nice move to shake off his defender and proceeded to run the ball down the field for a gain of 43 yards. And I think it's interesting contrasting the two QBs here. On one hand, you had Favre attempting risky passes downfield in double coverage, while Aaron completing short passes and trusting his receivers to make plays. As mentioned earlier, this was a talented trio of receivers at Green Bay's disposal, and prior to this play, neither Driver or Jennings had a reception in the game and were targeted only a combined 3 times. Anyways, back on the drive, Grant made a couple runs to move the chains, and then from Dallas's 11, Aaron threw a touchdown pass to Greg Jennings to bring the Packers within 10 points. Rodgers went 4 for 4 on the drive for 66 yards, and the half concluded with both teams headed for the tunnel. T.O. also had a huge first half as he caught 6 passes for $147 and a touchdown. The third quarter kicked off with the Cowboys receiving the ball, and after moving the offense to field goal territory, head coach Wade Phillips decided to gamble and go for it on 4th and 2, only to be stopped short by a yard, losing possession on downs. So Aaron and company trotted back out on the field, and after taking a sack for an 8-yard loss from Greg Ellis, Rodgers proceeded to move the chains after completing a 17-yard pass to Donald Driver from 3rd and long. At this point in the game, you could tell the youngster really felt comfortable, and on the next play would display his mobility as he escaped the pocket and gained another crucial first down with his legs. On the next snap from 1st and 10, this is where Rodgers showed Packers fans something they've been accustomed to seeing over the last decade. Aaron had about 3 linemen coming straight at him, and after moving right to left, at the very last second, he threw a pass while in midair and connected with Donald Lee for 22 yards for his 7th straight completion of the game. And it appeared the fans began to really believe they were witnessing a real special talent in Aaron Rodgers. He was able to go through all his progressions and make all his reads, but most importantly, he seemed to have an uncanny ability to extend drives, particularly with his legs. Anyways, the youngster continued to push the ball and got the offense all the way to Dallas's goal line, which set up a 1-yard TD run from Ryan Grant, bringing the score 27-24. This was a huge turnaround for Green Bay, who just a while ago were down by 17, but now saw themselves only 3 points behind. The next couple drives saw both teams exchange punts, and it wouldn't be until the middle of the 4th quarter where Dallas extended their lead back to 10. Romo completed 4 straight passes to Jason Witten before he capped the drive off with a 4-yard touchdown pass to Patrick Clayton. So in came the Packers offense again, and Rodgers continued to look sharp after completing 3 of 4 passes on the drive. However, from 3rd and 1 at Dallas's 35, Grant was stopped short of a first down, and Green Bay settled for 3. And with a little over 5 minutes left, the home team had to extend their next drive for as long as possible. This was going to be a stern test for the Packers defense that had been getting torched by the home team. After completing a 15-yard pass to Witten, running back Marion Barber ran the ball 6 consecutive times, eating up valuable time on the clock. Dallas would move the offense to Green Bay's red zone, and kicker Nick Folk practically iced the game with his 3rd field goal of the day, leaving Rodgers a little over a minute while down by 10. The game ended shortly after as Dallas hung on for the win and took the lead in the NFC while holding the crucial tiebreaker in the playoffs. This was a tough loss for Green Bay, especially after losing Favre to injury on his throwing arm, but watching Aaron have significant playing time and mounting a couple strong drives had to give fans a little bit of optimism towards the future of the franchise. Prior to this game, nobody in Green Bay knew what a post-Favre Packers team would look like. But I think it's safe to say that after Aaron's exploits in Dallas against one of the league's best teams indicated that he could be the franchise quarterback the team always envisioned. Aaron's final stat line showed him completing 18 of 26 passes for 201 yards and a touchdown, compared to Favre's 5 of 14 for 56 yards and 2 interceptions. But what was interesting in this game was just how often the broadcast would cut to Favre during the Packers' offensive series. At first glance, Brett seemed pretty nonchalant and unconcerned and just tended to his injury or chatted with teammates. However, as the game progressed and Aaron began to lead the offense, you could see a change in his demeanor as he stared from the sidelines, probably steaming about his inability to play. But probably the funniest thing from this whole game is when Brian Gumbel assured Packers fans after Rodgers' second touchdown drive that Favre had nothing to worry about.
My goodness, young Aaron Rodgers.
We've got a story going on right here.
In any other community, they'd say this is the start of a quarterback controversy, but that won't happen in Green Bay.
Following the game, the young quarterback's performance were praised by many from different media outlets, and it seemed as though Aaron would give management something to really consider in the offseason. Favre returned the next week against Oakland and finished out the remainder of the season and led the Packers to the NFC Championship game against the Giants. This was a game where the home team were a 7.5-point favorite, but lost at a nail-biter as Brett threw the game-sealing interception in overtime. And during the offseason, Favre infamously retired, then unretired, and the Packers coaching staff decided to stick with Aaron Rodgers, refuting any talks of a quarterback controversy. Green Bay traded Brett to the New York Jets, as some speculated one of the main reasons in doing so was the performance Aaron had displayed in Dallas.